Canadian Nuclear Laboratories' proposal for a near-surface disposal facility, or NSDF, is a responsible solution for low-level waste that will be generated from the cleanup mission at Chalk River. Let's move this environmental solution forward. Say yes to NSDF. Visit the Virtual Visitor Centre at engagewithcnl.ca/NSDF to learn more and how you can support this initiative. We encourage you to have your say.
Hello and welcome to the Construction Record Express. I'm digital media editor Warren Fry, and with me I have
staff writer at the Journal of Commerce, Russell Hickson.
Russell, it's March. What's going on?
Well, it's budget season, Warren, and we've had the BC budget, we've had the Alberta budget, which is our wheelhouse here in the West, and we have a story coming out specifically on the Alberta budget. We've already covered the BC budget extensively. But now we're going to be covering the Alberta budget, which is particularly interesting. So I've been hearing from and chatting with a lot of the stakeholders in Alberta, and it looks like a pleasant surprise for them for the budget, especially the road builders who I chatted with their CEO, and he talked about how the recovery of oil prices really boosted provincial revenue. And allowed them to spend more and have less of a deficit budget. He was expecting a much larger deficit budget. I think the whole industry was kind of bracing themselves. But just in the last few months, there's been a significant economic turnaround in Alberta. And so I think everybody was kind of pleasantly surprised with the budget in Alberta. So I'll be detailing that in a story in the coming days that you can read on our website.
Cool. Anything else on the go?
Yes, I'll be chatting with a tradesperson, a woman who started off, I believe, as like a plumber, pipe fitter, and now she teaches at a school, teaches other tradespeople. And for International Women's Day, I'm going to be telling her story and how she went from a tradesperson to an instructor. And so that should be interesting to get her insights.
Cool. And in the East Daily Commercial News, staff writer Don Wall recently covered a conference on construction risks, where it was suggested the newest COVID-related challenge buffeting Canada's construction sector is not keeping workers safe or creating vaccine policies, but rather it's properly pricing risks in a world of inflated costs and unpredictable supply chains. The Canadian Institute assembled 3 legal and claims experts February 24th for a panel titled Managing Your Project, COVID-Related Risks and Delays. Robert Poole, the senior managing director with FTI, commented, "To me, the biggest challenge now related to COVID in particular is really relating to claims, contracts, and the pricing of work. I think those are real challenges that organizations on both the owner and the contractor side are going to face." Poole noted there are numerous complex COVID disputes in the sector as owners and contractors wade through delay and productivity issues. Quote, "Disentangling all of that is going to be a major challenge. So my view is the challenges going forward are more related to the practical side, the claims side, and less on the actual impact of COVID." Close quote. And Daily Commercial News staff writer Angela Gismondi is working on a few stories for International Women's Day and Women in Construction Week, which is March 6th to 12th. She recently spoke to Lisa Bate, the Global Sustainability Lead and Senior Principal at B&H Architects, an architect who focuses on finding unique design solutions that minimize the impact on the environment. Angela also spoke to Caitlin McDonald, concrete lab technician for Carbon Cure Technologies, who studied environmental engineering technology and now works in residential maintenance and construction work. She's also working on a story how construction women are using TikTok to show their competencies within this industry, prejudice and discrimination they face every day, and to inspire each other to speak up. Workwear Guru looked into TikTok hashtags to analyze the challenges construction women face, and through their videos found a common thread among discrimination, offenses, and bias they battle. And up next, we have a special interview with Vancouver Regional Construction Association President Donna Grant, who's going to talk about the upcoming, as in tomorrow, VRCA Awards of Excellence. Here's Donna. I'm here with
Donna Grant, President of the Vancouver Regional Construction Association.
And we're talking today because coming up very shortly is the, in fact, I think tomorrow, by the time this goes out, is the Awards of Excellence, VRCA's Awards of Excellence. Now, last year they didn't happen, and that wasn't anybody's but COVID's fault. So maybe you could talk about, A, about that, and B, about how COVID is being addressed this year, because we're not quite out of the COVID situation, but things are a little different to the point where you can actually hold this in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a wonderful event, and I know all our members really look forward to it every year. So there was a lot of disappointment around having to have it delayed for 2 years. But the excitement this year, of course, is that we're celebrating 2 years of award winners. So it's a really packed event with lots to
Mhm.
celebrate. And it was bumped a few times, even when we believed we were going to go ahead with it. We originally had it scheduled in October, and then, of course, the public health orders came out. We had to delay it again till January, and then Omicron hit, and we
Mhm.
had to delay again until March 2nd. So we're thrilled, 2 days out, we're thrilled that we will be going forward, and with a lot more than we had anticipated we would be able to do. Of
Mhm.
course, as everyone knows, we are doing a bit better with COVID every day, and so there'll be a lot more of the networking that we all love than we had even expected.
And given that, what are the precautions you still have to take, and what's different this year, I guess, than previous years where we just kind of sit around a table and hang out and network?
Well, this year we had to reduce one of the our silver awards winners. We usually have a wonderful event that precedes the Awards of Excellence, and that we didn't get to do that this year. People will be able to mingle masks on,
Mhm.
and while you're at your table, of course, your masks can be off. So for the most part, it's going to be kind of what we've all come to know over the last while, but we aren't going to be restricted to tables only. We will be allowed to network and mingle.
Mhm. Okay. And let's get into the awards themselves. What do we got in store for us?
Well, holy smokes, it's such a big year. $3.5 billion in construction value in the projects that were submitted as nominations, and so 237 nominations, representing 89 different projects this year. So,
Mhm.
I mean, we've never had a lineup like this before, and just so much pent up pent up desire to celebrate. So we're thinking it's going to be pretty great. We've got a lot of special awards as well. We're recognizing a lot more, and we're recognizing education and innovation and on and on. It's going to be a lot of variety and a lot of recognition for how much our industry has done in the last 2 years. And as we probably haven't celebrated ourselves enough, being deemed an essential service. We really rose to the challenge that was presented by COVID, and now we get to sit back and say, look what we did.
And I mean, it's kind of tough to detect trends when you have such a big, weird, out of middle of nowhere thing like the pandemic show up. But what are some of the trends you've seen in terms of projects over the years that, like, what is some emerging stuff that was different than before in terms of, oh, this is something we should recognize?
Well, I mean, just the challenges that all of these projects faced, the uncertainties, the level of fear. People had never seen anything like this before, and as we know, so much evolved. So our members had to react and respond and think outside the box and collaborate and share all of the safety ideas and innovations that they came up with were shared openly with each other. When it came to COVID, we weren't competitors. We were all fighting the same enemy,
Mhm.
and so our members really rose to the challenge and worked with the BC Construction Safety Alliance and WorkSafe BC and VRCA, the BC Construction Association, and shared ideas and innovated. And we all know that people kept showing up to work, not knowing necessarily if the protections in place were going to be enough. There a lot of people did have COVID hit their teams, and yet we all just kept going. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to be proud of, uh, but construction's like that. It's there's that hardiness in our industry where people are used to overcoming adversity, and they're used to figuring out the unexpected, because I mean, that's part of construction. There's going to be things that you can't anticipate. So our members, something that is a common thread is they have learned how to manage the unanticipated and to anticipate absolutely everything that they can.
Speaking of managing the unanticipated, just managing generally, I know soft skills have been something that's been emphasized, sort of more emphasized than before. Is that another component of the awards this year?
I suppose it is. I mean, I would say that that's part of every awards year, and frankly, every award. If your soft skills are lacking, it's going to ripple through everything else that you do. We know that we've got some pretty resilient people and some pretty tremendous leaders in our industry, and without them, it would be hard to imagine that we would have fared as well as we did. You know, we've had people who had to put aside their own fears and their own concerns, maybe even for themselves and maybe even in their families, to just keep showing up and demonstrating to their teams that they weren't going to sit back, they weren't going to hide, they were going to be right there with them, making sure that they were safe and that they had everything they needed and were fully supported to get the jobs done. I mean, we've certainly seen there's challenges that we're still trying to overcome. We need more people in our industry. We definitely have. We're booming right now. There's a lot of work out there, and there's a lot of hiring going on. And at the same time, we're still facing some of the issues around our supply chain challenges, and with you know, the instability in Ukraine, it's just one more thing for all of us to be wondering what's going to happen next. What do we need to overcome next?
Okay, and for those who can't attend for various reasons, I know like I've been to previous events, and there's projects that are all over the province, even if it's the VRCA's awards. So there are presumably people who will be sort of tuning in after the fact. How do they go about finding out who won and who lost?
Oh, we'll be posting all of that. We'll be very excited to share that information, and it'll be you know, it'll hit social media and our website and the very next day. So we're looking forward to singing everybody's praises and tooting their horns on Thursday.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Donna. And that's it for this episode of Construction. 3, 2, 1. And that's it for this episode of Construction Express. You can hear us on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music, and on the Daily Commercial News and Journal of Commerce websites. Thanks for listening.